Hello. Welcome back into the channel. It is currently 2:23 a.m. here, Eastern Time. I'm over here watching film on Ryan Wingo right now, just studying up on the 2027 class. I know the rest of the league is probably asleep right now, but, for us committed owners out here, the work really never stops. And I woke up, about an hour ago, and woke up to some league activity. I wasn't expecting it. I thought the MLB All-Star game would have gone off without a hitch, and maybe some comments about that, but no. Turns out there were two big trades in the league last night, and that's what I like about this league. The second you close your eyes, someone's making a move. And both of the moves were made by Team Fitzgerald, the Los Angeles Flames out there. And we're going to go through both of them and kind of grade them and see where I think the teams fell out, who won each trade, and kind of how it's going to affect the trajectory of the JPDL for this upcoming season and then moving forward into the future. So let's just get right into the first trade. Ethan, the Atlanta Juicers, received Tyreek Hill, Trey Harris, 2026 first, which is a mods from Vice City, and then Will's 2028 first and his 2028 third. And Will receives Bijan Robinson and Aaron Rodgers. Now, Will is definitely in a win-now position. He's kind of pushed all his chips in, and he feels that it's his year. And why wouldn't he think that, right? He has Jaden Daniels, he has Jalen Hurts, he has an aging George Kittle at tight end, he has Amon-Ra St. Brown, he has Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry. Like, he does have a good mix of young quarterbacks that he can rebuild around, but then he has a lot of aging star players at his core, running back position, tight end position. And so, and for Will's the kind of guy who he's going to be competing year in and year out, regardless of what his roster looks like. I do appreciate his coaching ability down there, but he's never won the big one. And every year that Will goes without winning a JPDL championship is another thing that you have to look back on and wonder about his legacy. Wonder if he is that coach. Does he belong in the pantheon of owners in the JPDL, or is he the Bills of the mid-90s? Is he the guy is he Karl Malone? Did he put up great stats? Yeah, but he could never really get it done. And so I think he's starting to feel that pressure, and I think this trade kind of symbolizes that. Now, here's my thing. Obviously Bijan Robinson is the best asset in the trade, and getting Bijan to pair with Saquon Barkley, Achane, Jacobs, Henry makes a pretty unbeatable running back room. Here's my thought process, though. Will's had the best team in the league before this trade, I would argue. Maybe you could argue he had the second best team. At worst, he had the third best team, right? Why, if you're Will, why are you pushing in assets for a running back in the preseason when you're already one of the best teams? Is it worried about the bye week, or is it that you want a pretty picture on your screen when you look at your team in the offseason going into week one? Because if it's the former, that's a little bit valid. If it's the latter, guys, as a former champion, we have bigger things to look at than our week one lineup. And I feel like for Will, he can admit if it's the first. I feel like it was the latter on this trade. And that's why I don't like it for Will, just because was this trade not sitting out there at the deadline this year? Now, you could argue maybe Tyreek Hill has another bad catastrophic season this year and loses all value, and Will needed to get out of the Tyreek Hill business today. I don't really see it that way. I feel like the Dolphins offense is going to rebound this year, and Will already had Achane, right? So he has Tyreek and Achane, and in a way, they're uncorrelated bets, because last year the Dolphins offense had to completely change after Tua's concussion, and they had to go to a quick passing attack where, because they couldn't protect Tua, they needed to get the ball out of his hands, and they couldn't let routes progress downfield, which is why Jonnu Smith was the tight end one the second half of the season, why Achane led all running backs in receptions per game. Meanwhile, Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill fell off a cliff. Now, you can believe one of two things. You can either believe that Tyreek Hill is done and Jalen Waddle sucks, or you can believe that it was a systematic failure of the offense and Mike McDaniel is coaching for his job this year, and he's not going to go back to what they were doing the second half of the year. He's just going to have to figure it out with Tua. I would believe the latter. I feel like it's almost impossible that Jalen Waddle completely fell off and Tyreek Hill completely fell off in the whole season at the exact same time. So I feel like Tyreek's actually a pretty safe bet to have a big return this year. And, and if that wasn't the case, then Achane's going to pop off. So Will had like a seesaw option with whichever way the Dolphins offense went. Now, if it goes back to a Tyreek Hill show, I think not only is he missing out on those points from Tyreek, but Achane's going to suffer as well. So if I were in Will's position, I would have liked to have both of them. All that being said, I don't love this trade for Will, and I know people are going to look at it and they're going to say, oh, he's the favorite now. I would say he was the favorite before. So if you're going to give up 2 first-round picks, how much more of a favor are you making yourself? That feels like a huge future investment, future value that you're giving away for not much short-term upside or increase in your win potential. If this was a deadline trade, I probably would like it more, just because that's less weeks that you have to bet on and pray that Bijan stays healthy into the playoffs. So I don't know. Bijan has to make it 14 weeks now. If you told me that Tyreek Hill outscores Bijan Robinson this year, would I be surprised? No. I would say that has like a 30 to 40% chance of happening. So yeah, and Will already had so many running backs, right? So now he's even more moving his, his investment to the running back position over the wide receiver position. He had Amon-Ra and Tyreek, a good 1-2. Now he has Terry McLaurin, and we'll get into that later on. So don't love it for Will. Now for Ethan, I'm going to give him an A+ here. Guys, it's just like, man, you guys just keep letting him do this, bro. Like, I actually don't think Ethan's had a great offseason. I think he made some huge trades that if he broke them down and traded individual assets instead of them all at once, he could have gotten more value. That's my opinion. But then Ethan pulls off a trade like this. That's like, man, this is such a good trade. You pick up 2 first-round picks, you pick up Trey Harris, who has future value, and you get Tyreek Hill for basically just Bijan. Like, that's like $2.30 on the dollar in value. Really good trade here for the Juicers. They have a weird-ass roster. I'm not sure where they'll be in the playoff picture this year. I could see them 5th. I could see them 6th, 4th, somewhere in that range. I don't think they're a top 3 team, but rebuilding your picks for one asset. I'm not even going to include Aaron Rodgers. This is just a home run. There's really no other notes. Like, yeah, this is how you just fleece someone in Dynasty. And Will was it kind of, which is weird. Like, why is Will a desperate owner when he has the best team in the league? But it seemed like Will was in a desperate position. And I'm being hard on Will because he probably has a pretty perfect roster for his upcoming season now, and he should be the heavy favorite to win. And if you do win a championship, then who cares? The timing is the thing for me. So A+ for Ethan. Now let's move on to the second trade. So these happen minutes of each other. I don't think any of us are new to the whole idea of paired trades or correlated trades, or I gotta make this one trade first before I accept your deal. So this was one of those situations. James McCaskey gets Kyron Williams. Will gets Terry McLaurin and a 2028 third from James. This trade has the least aura of any trade I've ever seen in the JPDL. These are 2 of my least favorite assets in the league. I don't even know who we start with. I guess we'll start with Kyron. Like, is Kyron even good? Like, I feel like Kyron just sucks, and it doesn't matter. You could put Nick Mills in the Rams' backfield, and Nick Mills would be an high-end RB2 week by week. Like, whoever Sean McVay has back there is going to eat. We saw it with Todd Gurley. We saw it with, like, C.J. Anderson in the playoff game against Dallas when he was, like, 450 pounds coming out of the Arby's drive-thru, and he came in and had, like, 200 yards. Like, I'm trying to think of Darrell Henderson over the years was really good in that position. Like, it doesn't matter your quality. So I don't think anyone thinks Kyron Williams is actually that good at football. And now they have, they've invested more draft capital. They invested in Blake Corum. They have a new guy that they drafted this year. So it's like, I don't know. If Kyron stays as the Rams running back, he's going to be good. Do I have any faith that that's going to happen? Not really. The Rams backfield is one of those backfields where it's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like Thanos, like collecting Infinity Stones. It's like one of those positions where you need, or it's a great reference here. I think it's like the Wonder Twins or something, but there's these two people that like need to fist bump in order to get their powers in one of those old comics, and that's what the Rams backfield's like. It's like if you don't have every single part of the Rams backfield, I would never feel confident in what I had, because you don't know from week to week who it's going to be. But then on the other side, when you give, it's like if you get nothing, it doesn't matter if you gave away nothing, and Terry McLaurin is nothing. Like, I will die on this hill. Terry McLaurin is not a good wide receiver. Terry McLaurin is a benefactor of having no one else in the offense for the last 5 years. Okay, so someone had to get the targets. Someone had to get their jersey sold. It's the same thing as like, I forget his name off the top of my head, whoever that Nets point guard is who puts up like 40 points a game night after night, and literally no one cares because it's like, well, someone has to put up shots. Right? He's a bad team, good stat guy. And last year, the team was finally good. If you rewatch his highlights, that was the most gimmicky offense of all time. And it's like, congrats, Dan Quinn. Congrats, like, Cliff Kingsbury. Like, you guys had a good plan. You guys caught the league by storm. They didn't know how to stop bubble screens, I guess. The most broken plays I've ever seen. You think about the Cowboys play. You think about, like, 3 bubble screens that go for touchdowns. You wipe those away. Those 1 in 100 plays that aren't happening because Terry McLaurin is some superstar talent. Just happens by happenstance. Again, you put Nick Mills out there, Nick Mills probably scores half those touchdowns, right? And it's like, that's not happening again. So this is the number 1 regression candidate in fantasy this year. He had like 12, 14 touchdowns next year. Just book that for 6 this year, all right? Debo's going to come in. He's going to be the wide receiver 1 there. I don't care how fat he is. He's going to show you how you actually have talent in that role with bubble screens and short gimmicky passes in that offense. So this trade sucks. I'll give Will the slight edge because he picked up a third, which is the only piece of value in this trade. But I would have washed my hands after making this trade. I probably would have I would delete all my social media. I would have gone on one of those detoxes, maybe booked like a nature tour, or, one of those silent retreats, maybe. Just something to get out of the headspace. Whichever headspace got me into a place where I thought I needed to make this trade and thought that this was going to improve my life in any foreseeable way. I think it's kind of dangerous to make a trade like that. I'm worried about both owners, and I don't think either of them got better, and it's a waste of all of our time. So, yeah, guys. That's all I had. JPDL trades. And, catch y'all.